You're mistaken if you think last weekend was all about UFC 310. A lot more happened in the fight world during the fight week, including UFC's top 10 fighters in grappling matches, fastest KO in the whole combat sports, big title exchanges in the boxing world, and more. To keep you updated, we'll start this video with the top tier MMA fighters testing their grappling skills. Abu Dhabi Extreme Championship 8 took place in UAE on Friday, headlined by UFC flyweights Amir Albazi and Jafel Fialho. Despite being unranked, Fialho beats the number 3 ranked Amir Albazi by unanimous decision. One of the undercard fights also involved 21-0 undefeated PFL fighter Movlid Khaybulaev, who holds wins over top-notch fighters like Damon Jackson and Brandon Loughnane. He also got a unanimous decision victory over Bellator veteran James Gallagher. UFC's grappling event Fight Pass Invitational line, headlined by Mikey Musumeci, took place in Las Vegas. Yes, Dana White enters in Jiu-Jitsu as well and hopes to make it a popular and clean sport just like he did with MMA and Power Slap. For Musumeki's debut, the BJJ star was put in a showcase match with the lesser-known bantamweight Felipe Machado, but he couldn't get a submission and won via unanimous decision with 2 points. After the fight, Musumeci claims 99% of jiu-jitsu is on steroids and he hopes to clean that up with the UFC's help. One of the best in the sport, Gordon Ryan, took issue with Musumeki's statement and issued a fiery response. He explains he is indifferent to PED use in jiu-jitsu, but it should be either legal across the board or illegal. Craig Jones also reminded grapplers not to just rush into signing exclusive deals with the UFC just like Musumeci, and announced CJI2 for August 2025. He also posted a photo on his Instagram showing over $17 million in his account as proof that funding for the second event is a go. So basically, it seems Dana White is gonna have a tough time taking over BJJ, or maybe he gets an L in this sport because he's never gonna give millions to these grapplers. One Fight Night 26 also featured a big-scale grappling fight where Mesa Bastos defeated Daniela Kelly in a rematch for the ONE Women's Atomweight Grappling Championship. Card was headlined by reigning 2-division king Christian Lee, who returned from a 2-year layoff after the tragic death of his sister Victoria Lee to defend his one lightweight title against undefeated Alibeg Rasulov. But Christian Lee's highly anticipated return had an anticlimactic ending as his defense resulted in a no contest after an accidental eye poke near the end of the second round. Expect the two to run it back sometime next year, with Lee saying post-fight that he expects a rematch in early 2025. In BKFC 69, former unsuccessful UFC fighter Braxton Smith made a successful promotional debut with a third-round knockout, keeping the finishes coming. And in the very next fight, a fighter named Justin Watson just set the record for fastest knockout in combat sports history, delivering the only 2-second knockout. Now let's move towards 5 high-level boxing events that happened in only 36-hour time span. First one was Mahmoud Charr defending his heavyweight belt in enemy's territory Sofia in Bulgaria against their own Kubrat Pulev. Pulev beats Charr by unanimous decision to win the WBA regular heavyweight belt on Saturday. WBC number 1 cruiserweight Ryan Rozicki and number 2 rated Yamir Peralta battled to a 12-round draw in a clash for the WBC interim cruiserweight title on Saturday night in Canada. Rozicki previously edged Peralta by controversial decision 2 years ago, but this time Rozicki landed the harder shots and seemed to be the winner. Rozicki's dream didn't come true, but Richardson Hitchins fulfilled his childhood dream in Matchroom's headliner by winning the IBF 140 pounds title from Liam Paro via split decision in Puerto Rico. After beating an Australian, he sets his eyes on the next Australian, the former undisputed lightweight champion George Kambosos Jr. Kambosos had announced his move up a few days back and was already looking for a good fight, so he didn't waste time in accepting the call out from the new champ. Queenberry's The Magnificent Seven card in London was headlined by WBO's number 1 Denzel Bentley, who soundly beats number 2 Brad Pauls, knocking him down in the 10th en route to a unanimous decision victory. Still, it wasn't enough to prove that he is now ready for the middleweight title rematch with Janibek Alimkhanuly. Two classy first-round knockouts were seen from the heavyweights undercard. David Adilge comes back into the win column, while former cruiserweight champion Lawrence Okolie makes a successful heavyweight debut with this first-round knockout. The Noakes brothers, on the other hand, outpoint their opponents to improve their undefeated records. Sean Noakes outpoints his fellow undefeated welterweight, while WBO's number 3 lightweight Sam Noakes outpoints the valiant former title challenger Ryan Walsh to set himself up for a big fight. In the top ranks card, Mexican champions successfully defended their belts to close the weekend. Rafael Espinoza stops robeisy Ramirez in round 6 of their rematch to defend his WBO featherweight world title. Ramirez suffered a right orbital bone fracture during the loss. He was blinking and stopped fighting after he absorbed a right hand to the eye in round 6. The headliner Emmanuel Navarrete, on the other hand, started quickly after 2 disappointing performances and knocked down Oscar Valdez in round 1. Another knockdown in the closing seconds of round 4 and then knockout in round 6 to defend his WBO super featherweight world title. After his win, Osheki Foster called for a unification fight with him, which this division needs badly. But the reports say both Top Rank and Zenfer are highly interested in matching up both Mexican champions Emmanuel Navarrete and Rafael Espinoza against each other in 2025, likening the fight to a modern-day version of the classic Marco Antonio Barrera vs. Eric Morales fight. And that was all that happened last week in the fight world. UFC 310 was the biggest, so I've made a separate dedicated video for it, which you can watch by clicking the thumbnail showing on your screen. If you have already watched that, then now do whatever you want.